attention, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on behalf of the members of the Lackawanna City Council and department heads to our December 5th, 2022 Lackawanna City Council caucus. This is an opportunity for various members of the City Council to review and discuss the individual agenda items for tonight's meeting. And moving forward with that, first 5 items are really administrative. The next item is communication from the mayor, item number 6. Mayor Eiffel requests the city council renew hers and her secretary Gail Nicholson's Commissioner D status. Anyone have any comments on that? Item number 7, relative to regarding the significant effort it took to overcome the snowstorm we had. Communication from Mayor Eiffel indicating the supporting documentation from city controllers requesting that the council approve attached ordinance authorizing overtime compensation to attached city employees. These do not usually receive overtime compensation. However, due to the exemplary service to the city throughout the duration, she believes they should be compensated, and probably rightfully so. And due to the state of emergency situation arising from the storm, separate wage accounts must be established and budgeted funds allocated to record overtime work between November 17th at 8 p.m. and November 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Those are FEMA requirements. Those items that the city may expend, the money is expended for overtime, as well as other related and incidental damages occurring sustained during the storm, and as a result of the storm, will also be put forth through the federal government application for the city's reimbursement through FEMA. Along those same lines, we received a communication from our city attorney, Rick Judah, relative to amending agenda item number 7. And although the actual ordinance along the same lines is the same, the request for a transfer of $895,000, $21,000, I believe, of that is to be withdrawn from by the mayor to be applied at a future city council, or to be taken up by the city council in a future meeting. Mr. Judah, is that accurate? Am I understanding that?
So here's the thing. By passing the budget ordinance, you're not authorizing the payment of the additional overtime. But we'd ask that the ordinance be passed, because once it goes to FEMA, if the council later approves it, you're not going to get reimbursed.
Right.
There's certain deadlines. Yeah, so I'd ask you to pass the budget ordinance for now. And has everybody seen my late email from today? Do you have a copy of it? So what I'd like to do is kind of go down it, and I guess we could start by looking at the attachments.
Council President, I ask that I'm able to check on my phone because it is attached in my email. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. I did review it, however, I just wanted to.
So basically, after reviewing this, and as you know, I was out ill last week.
Rick, do you have another copy?
Yes.
I need one. Well, I'm reading it on my phone.
Yep.
It's at the same.
Yeah, but I can give you. Hold on.
Pass it out. Okay, no, that's why I'm on my.
Who else needs a copy?
I'm reading it on my phone.
Okay, hold on.
You got it?
We'll use this one together.
We got some.
Two shares.
So basically, as currently written on this agenda, it's really 2 parts. There's a budget ordinance transfer authorizing the city to transfer up to $895,000 to cover storm-related expenses, which we'll talk about. And then the second part, there was a request from the mayor to pay certain city hall employees who went above and beyond the call of duty and incurred some additional time when everybody else was off, to the tune of about $21,000. According to the memo that I've sent out earlier, we're asking that that be put aside until we can get the council additional documentation and clear up a couple of small errors that were in there. There's a couple contract employees, there's a couple employees that are managerial, confidential, or exempt that don't get overtime. But we'd like to clear that up. But the main point now is to go through the budgetary transfer. And if you look at what was originally attached to your council agenda, and I'm skipping the first page, there is the bottom of the second page shows the department, the overtime hours worked, the overtime compensation, the fringe component, and the total. If you look at that, it totals $250,465.48. If you take that amount and you add the $645,000 that the city spent in contractual expenses, meaning the city hired outside contractors to remove snow and to do other things, that's what the total budget transfer of $895,000 is. And that top line where it says administration, that $21,348, that's the city hall employees. So I guess if you were to back that money out, you would back out $33,826. But for now, we're asking that you just leave it in the budget transfer and the setting up of the budget codes so that we can submit it to FEMA. If the expenses aren't incurred and they're not memorialized, or by a certain date, you're not going to get reimbursed for them anyway. So that's what that is. Now, flipping over to the ordinance itself, and I've given you another copy of it because the ordinance hasn't changed. If you were to add up all those items in there, it equals the $895,000 that the controller is asking to be transferred so that we could pay the funds and seek reimbursement from FEMA. And as you know, FEMA reimburses approximately 75%. I believe the state's going to reimburse another 15%. So the city's cost will be 10%. And then there may be some administrative costs that the county is talking about picking up later on. But for now, you're looking at about a 10% cost to the city. So out of the total storm costs of $895,000, if those were all allowable by FEMA, the city's actual expense on that would be about $89,000. Yeah, about $90,000. Now going down the expenses, the first one was the allocated overtime for the mayor's secretary, who actually manned phones during the storm while City Hall was closed, and fielded a number of phone calls from residents and other things related to the storm. All of the other items are totaled on there, and you can see the police overtime, the fire overtime. The big expense obviously is the $645,000 that we had in contractual expenses. So if there's any questions related to the expenses themselves, for either Linda or myself, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
Procedurally, Rick, since there is an amendment to the first communication, would it be better for the council to consider your request to amend that original request from Mayor Iafallo by waiving the rules, or just by an individual council member wishing to amend the mayor's request from the
Yeah, either way.
from the floor?
Either way. You're talking about the second part for the $21,000?
Well, and I think we need to know what the wording would be for that motion so that we can appropriately divide and bifurcate the two requests.
So I think the way this should have been drawn up, there should have been a separate request to approve overtime for Gail Nicholson, Chuck Clark, John Wolf, Thomas Nicometto, Gene Oliveri, Scott Hayes, and Brian Laxo, Anthony DeSantis. Chief Packard is an exempt civil service employee under his contract. He doesn't get overtime. Jim Fino's overtime would be contractual under his contract, based on the number of hours that are in his contract. So those two would be withdrawn. So basically, there would be a motion to authorize overtime for certain city hall employees, and we would list those by the name. And then the second motion would be to pass the budget ordinance for an amount not to exceed, I guess, $895,000.
Okay, run that by me again, because I'm still not understanding it. The $21,000 is being backed out, but what would be the language for the motion?
Well, if they were going to pass that separately today.
Well, it's part of the original request, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're amending, first of all, how do we accept the amendment to make it appropriate?
This amendment?
Yeah, you're the one you said.
Okay, so that's what your real question is.
Well, there's two. How do we?
Yeah, so I would make a motion to suspend the rules and then to receive and file a communication from the city attorney, and then make a motion, somebody can make a motion to act on this.
Okay, but how is the ordinance going to be worded?
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
And that will not,
And then if the council does not approve overtime to certain employees, it wouldn't be reimbursable by FEMA.
so by accepting the amendment, it automatically excludes the 21,000 approximately of city hall employees.
It temporarily authorizes a budget line for it, but that's all. It doesn't authorize the actual payment to certain individuals.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Do any of the council members have any questions regarding item number 7?
So today we're authorizing that it be budgeted, however, it won't be allocated or dispersed to those individuals. When will we be determining that?
At the next meeting.
Okay, so we're not even looking into the 21K right now as far as by fabricating it from the 80.
Well, nothing's being fabricated, it's being, you mean allocated?
Allocated
Yeah, okay.
to, so the 895K already includes the 21K,
Yes.
but it won't be allocated to those individuals as of today's vote.
Well,
No.
the 21,000 won't regarding the individuals, but the other contractual obligations, I believe, will be authorized, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, the
Okay.
The
itemized.
contractual obligations, technically, you don't need council approval for. Okay?
But we need council
Well, you
approval.
can't
to
enter
set
into a
up the
contract
budget.
without council approval, right? The city couldn't hire those contractors without council approval.
Sure we did. Under the emergency powers that the mayor has, we had to spend $645,000 to hire contractors to remove snow. We couldn't have come to the council to approve that. So in other words, you can't not approve that now.
So it's
I
not,
mean,
it's
you
not
don't-
an item to be considered by the council at all.
I don't think it is for the maintenance of the streets.
Okay.
It's an emergency. I think under the emergency powers that the city government has, that she has, the mayor has authority to enter into contracts and to protect the city, to whenever there's, say a pole falls in the middle of the street or something like that, and we have to have emergency work done, and that's really what this is. This is being set up now so that we can request reimbursement from FEMA.
Right.
As far as the other $21,000, I'm still looking into that, but I think some of that is contractual, and I think some of that is going to be up to the council to approve.
Okay.
So in the event, when we do vote for the allocation of the 21,000, if that doesn't pass city council, is it then amended?
It won't be paid.
Would the FEMA application be amended?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Does anyone else? Yes, Councilman?
Yeah.
Well, Linda, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add is that we might have a FEMA deadline to get the actual expenses paid and submitted by, and that deadline might be December 15th. So
Well,
it may be
Is it
something,
might be, or is it, do we know that for sure? Because
We're
I've heard
still
two different
waiting.
versions.
we're still waiting for the guidelines to come down. In
Okay,
the webinar, they said they weren't sure if it was gonna open by December 15th, or if the deadline was gonna be November 15th. So we're still waiting for FEMA, December, to actually give us more guidance in that respect.
wasn't there a deadline already that we had to submit
Yes.
information to FEMA?
Yes,
And
but
what
that
was
was a
that?
preliminary estimate, which is what these numbers were incorporated into. And the estimate included a 48-hour period and then the entire 48-hour period. And then we had to do it again for the whole 5-day period. And those were submitted already.
And those are submitted timely.
Yes.
Okay. Again, any other questions?
So do you understand this is all done very relatively quickly as well?
Right.
And with people, some people working from home and some people coming in if they could get in. So it's obviously not perfect.
We learned about the FEMA requirements at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and all this had to be submitted and turned in by noon. So it was very quick.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
And if the council wants a breakdown on the contractual expenses, certainly, we can put that together for your review or for your perusal.
So our vote today basically authorizes or approves the application to FEMA.
In a nutshell, this will give the controller the right to set up the appropriate accounts so that she'll be ready for FEMA when they say, okay, submit your expenses and submit. She's going to have to submit proof that they were actually incurred.
I see.
Okay, so the council is not authorizing a actual transfer of funds.
Budgeted funds.
You can't budget for an emergency. This wasn't budgeted.
It has
This
to-
snowstorm wasn't budgeted for, correct?
Right.
That is correct.
So that would come out of the reserves. So my question is, you're setting up lines of budget item lines to comply and comport with what FEMA requires. That's one step. The other step is those lines then have to be funded, whether we get the money from FEMA or not, unless there's an indication that we wait until we're reimbursed from FEMA to distribute the funds. And I don't think that's the way it
No.
happens.
It's my understanding that you have to actually spend all of the money
Right.
before you can request
So
a
we have to
reimbursement.
authorize the transfer from the reserve account, the general fund, into these new line items, correct?
Yes,
And is that part of this ordinance?
it is.
But section 4 can be omitted, correct, Linda? For the time being?
So these balances are not
But there was
outstanding. We
conversation
don't
saying
owe
that it was
these.
not.
Well,
You know,
partly,
yeah, it's just-
I think the people that are already contractual,
Well, if they're
majority of-
contractual, they don't need an ordinance to authorize overtime hours if they were contractual.
well, I need to record them into those expense lines. Do I need an ordinance allowing me to do that?
I don't think you need section 4.
Well, then part of the motion to pass the ordinance will be an ordinance amended to eliminate section 4. Okay. Anyone on the council have any questions on that?
Mr. Council President, if I may, just so
Yes,
when this
yes, sir.
comes up, because this is getting a little bit.
Right.
So the way I understand this, when we get to item number 7, is there's going to be immediate waiving of the rules to basically accept the amended version of the communication from the mayor, and disregard the original one that's on the agenda.
Yes.
And after,
And just cross off section 4 on that one.
well, then we go to, there's two motions. One would be the approval of the payment of the overtime, and the other would be the additional the amended ordinance amending section 4, omitting section 4. Is that correct?
But I thought we're not
No.
voting on the approval of overtime today.
No.
That it's just
Yeah.
budgeted, but it's not gonna be approved until next meeting.
So after we waive the rules, accepting the amended communication from the mayor, we're just gonna have the one vote on the ordinance omitting
Yes.
section 4?
Yes. Yes,
Okay, all right.
yes.
I'll make sure we got that, good.
Okay.
with that?
Yeah, I just don't understand about the 15th deadline, but I can ask Rick about
Well,
that later.
If it, obviously, if it becomes apparent that there's some time constraints, we'll notify the council and we'll have to work
For a special meeting.
through a special meeting or something, but
Okay.
I'd just as soon do that.
Very good.
But even, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Even with the deadline, it's already being requested from FEMA still. So whether or not we approve it, it would just require an amendment later.
Well, everything would have to be paid before submitted.
Uh-huh, okay, I see. So it's not an IOU or an outstanding balance,
No.
even the salaries. I see.
So are you talking about the 21,000 or,
I am,
Just
but
the
that
two.
only pertains to the 15th, December 15th deadline?
according to
Yeah,
Ms. Heidegger.
because the balance is approved, that will most likely be approved as amended here tonight.
But even if it were approved today, it would have to be
The
dispersed,
21,000 will
Yes.
not be approved tonight.
right? But it's being budgeted for, but to request it from FEMA, in order for FEMA to reimburse us, it would have to already be dispersed to the employees,
By,
from what I understand.
if the 15th is viable,
If the
deadline.
15th is the deadline.
yeah.
There may be, right, and there may be deadlines to submit paperwork and there may be deadlines to make payments, so there may be two deadlines.
And is there any way to request an extension if the 15th is the deadline?
Usually not with FEMA, but when we get further guidelines, we will know for sure.
Because it eliminates. That's for the secretary. Okay, well, you raised a good issue. Another issue, our city clerk raised a good issue. If the 21,000 in city hall employee overtime payments are not going to be made and are not part of this motion as amended that's going to be made, then what happens with the first line from the mayor in the budget code department title that's on the amendment? It says overtime FEMA only for secretary in the amount of $1,169.36.
Nothing
Isn't that,
changes.
huh?
Nothing changes, because this is just establishing the codes.
Yeah, but that's part of the 895,000. That's not,
So let me, if I might, just like any budget transfers, I think at the end of the year, when all the dust settles, if certain items have been budgeted and not expended because of either lack of council action or they weren't authorized or whatever, I think Linda then comes to the council and you make budget adjustments again to return that money to the
Fund balance.
fund balance.
Or like at the end of the
Yeah.
year. like they
Yeah,
always
yeah,
do.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah.
so that line is not part of the 21,000 that is being withdrawn from this original consideration. Is that
It
correct?
is, it is.
It is part of it.
I believe it
So
is.
it's line 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, right?
That is correct.
And 7. Is that, or not?
No, seven, a big portion of that is actual union workers
Okay,
who are entitled to the overtime.
okay. So lines 1 through 6 are part of the
Mixed up
21K.
together.
Yes,
Okay, being budgeted for, but not dispersed.
exactly.
Okay, is the mayor secretary part of the bargaining?
No.
Okay, so then we're back to that same question. it's not part of the, it is part of the 21,000 and should not be included in this intent.
Well, then you know what? Why don't you just table this and we'll have a special meeting? And we can all come back tomorrow or the next day or whenever you guys want. I mean,
Well, here's the thing. We as a council are being asked to react to something that we have little or no control over. We are not responsible for the wordage and the verbiage in this request, yet we're the ones who are saddled with having to table this and come back at a special meeting because this wasn't done possibly properly in the first place. So I don't think that should fall on the council.
well, who does it fall on?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't fall on the council. We didn't draw this up.
Well, I think that we did the best we could under what we knew from FEMA. And like I said, we found out at 9 in the morning and we had to have something.
Okay, let me
turned
ask
in
you
by
this then.
noon.
Do you recognize this?
Yes,
Did you draw this up?
I did.
Okay. And you are aware that other requests for other city hall employees were being made for overtime as a result of the snowstorm, correct?
Not requests. We were just told to gather information and calculate values to make sure if it was included as part of FEMA, it was covered and not an expense
Okay,
that
let
would
me
be
word it
lost.
this way then. There are other individuals who worked in the city hall employees that are being requested to be compensated for overtime in addition to the mayor secretary, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, yet they do not appear on this document, is that correct?
No, everybody that had overtime does appear on,
Where?
well, there's 2 people that requested 0 amounts.
I don't care about them. Where are the other where are the other individuals? My understanding, there's Director Laxell, there's Mr. Nicometto,
Yes, they're all included.
there's Mr. Clark, they're all in this?
Mhm.
Okay, then this is not accurate, to my understanding of that. Yes, I think it did. I got it. So we may have no choice but to table this, because I don't understand what we're passing and what we're not passing. And why do we have to pass it if it's an emergency declaration anyways, where we didn't have any say for the expenditure of the funds in the first place?
I think the council has to approve establishment of the budget lines.
Well, okay, we're approving something that we had no say in the first place. So in other words, we're approving budget lines for the payment of monies that we didn't authorize to be paid, because they were paid under the Emergency Act.
You may be right. Maybe there's no need to do any of this. I don't have the FEMA guidelines in front of me. I'm not a FEMA specialist. And the controller took action thinking that this may be required. And unfortunately, if it turns out that we don't have to do it, then it was all for naught. But I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Well, I'd rather err on the side of accuracy, so I know what we're passing.
Okay.
But, so it's up to the council members to decide what we want to do with this, whether to table it and possibly come back for a special meeting, or if you feel it's appropriate to pass this, the way it's worded, everybody can make up their own mind. But those are the issues that we're faced with item number 7.
If I may, I brought this up a few meetings ago that everything getting mixed up with these ordinances where you can't vote, part of it you don't agree with, and the other part you agree with. What do you do to?
You pass part of it, you reject the remainder. I understand.
And I was with Linda Friday morning. I talked to her today. She put a lot of time in. I'm not picking on her, but I think she did a great job as far as getting all the stuff together. But everything's mixed up. There's too much in the pot here.
And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think it's the nature of the beast. it was an emergency. There are guidelines and deadlines set by FEMA that have to be met. And it's unfair necessarily to put the burden on our department heads and their staff to have to come up with something that fits FEMA's requirements on a moment's notice to secure funds for reimbursement. So it's not Linda's fault, it's nobody's fault. It's the nature of what we're dealing with, similarly to the fact that the snowstorm wasn't anybody's fault. But by the same token, I think we have a responsibility as a city council to know exactly what we're authorizing and what we're not authorizing. And if it needs a clarification in the second meeting,
We're
we'll
the
do that.
financial arm of the city. We should know what we're voting.
Right, and it's a substantial sum of money.
It comes down to, we need to know exactly what FEMA wants. Until we do that, we really couldn't pass.
What they want, when they want it, and what form, and the form of the ordinance has to be appropriate to reflect that. So if we have to come back and do it again, we'll come back and do it again, I guess. But, no problem.
I don't know, you know, in looking at this again, Linda, I don't know why you would even need council approval to set up budget codes.
I thought I had to do
Yeah.
that
I
with
mean,
any budget codes.
maybe that's something we'll look into as well, but, okay.
Well, you're actually amending a budget, correct? So it would need councilmanic action. The fact that the mayor has emergency authority to call contractors in under contractual obligations, which appear in the amount of $645,000, is one issue. Amending the budget is not the sole jurisdiction of the executive branch, but the legislative branch, in my understanding.
Well, I don't know if she's amending the budget. That's my question.
Well,
Setting up budget codes.
Well, there's no money in there for this emergency right now, so you're amending the budget. You're transferring $895,000 from the general fund into the existing budget, so of course it's an amendment.
So in the past, I'm sure this wasn't our first state of emergency, what precedent was set? How were those situations handled?
I don't know, and
Okay, so maybe that's something we should look into, meanwhile.
What's the question?
how were these emergencies handled in the past?
2014 storm,
2004, 3?
14.
All,
There was another one.
There were a couple.
There's been a bunch of them. Yeah. So, I mean, this should be,
which may be able to be superseded by executive powers, so.
What is superseded by executive?
This decision before us today, if there's already a precedent set prior, to exercise.
I don't think that precedent is binding on future administrations.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Well, not necessarily the precedent, but the FEMA, requirements
Well, the FEMA requirements are
still go through our.
designed for each occurrence for an emergency event. So I don't think whatever happened in 2014 would dictate what happens in 2022.
As
If
long as
that's,
we're not
if
in
that's the case,
violation.
we don't need new FEMA information. We just have to go back to 2014 and duplicate what they did then. No, this is a whole new ballgame, and let's do it right.
yeah, I agree. Okay.
All right, anybody else have any issues on number 7? If not, moving right along. Item number 8, communication from our city attorney, request city approval of Denise Fitzgibbons, Commissioner of Deeds. Anyone have any comments on that? Number 9, Director of Development, request city council approve adoption and use of enforcement New York State uniform codes regarding our building codes, et cetera. It's a administrative normal event. Director Jennings, do you want to say anything on that?
This is just a formality. We've in fact been using these codes since May 12th of 2020, and we're just now taking the administrative action of adopting it, which is a requirement in New York State.
That we incorporate the latest amendments into our code addressing the same issues.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions on item number 9? Item number 10, request from Commissioner DeSantis that the council approve adding a new mechanics position in the Department of Public Works. This is a result of what we experienced again during the snowstorm. City of Lackawanna at one time had 5 mechanics. We are down to 2. When Mr. DeSantis was asked to review what could have been improved for this latest response, one of the outstanding issues was they needed another mechanic for breakdowns. And there was an individual who did fit that capacity to an exceptional level and was able to return 4 damaged and non-functioning machines within half a day to, again, the snow removal efforts. So that would be creating and adding a new mechanic to the Department of Public Works, raising the number from 2 to 3. Anyone have any questions on item number 10?
Would that be creating a new, we had 5 at one time, would that be creating a new position?
My understanding is the 3 of them were eliminated, and this will be creating another one. It was not budgeted for, there's no item for it, so we'll be creating a new position and funding it. So that fund would have to come from the general fund.
But this employee's been working for the city for some time now. He's not a no employee.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know all the facts, other than what Mr. DeSantis said that he.
I'm guessing procedurally, if the council approves it, you create the position, fund it, and then it would have to be posted in the,
Right.
according to the union contract, and then individuals have the right to bid on it. I'm assuming the individual you're speaking of will apply for this position, whether or not he will be super or bumped by somebody with more seniority, that has to play out. I don't know.
Yeah.
What the fact of the matter is, and if indeed he's not, let's say he's titled as a laborer now, he'd be working out a title. So I think what Tony's doing is creating the position to make sure we're ready for the next storm.
Yeah, exactly.
And given the fact that the guy that he hopes will apply for it is qualified,
Right.
he wants to lock it into
And he
that
will
position
post
now.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
I hope so.
Now, yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna be busy
Yeah.
again. Let me ask you this, Rick. Does that require an ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, the budget, well, you're gonna authorize the creation of the position now, right? And then you're gonna have to do a budget ordinance to establish the funding.
So do we entertain this tonight and consider okaying it if that's the intent of the council, pending?
You can authorize it and direct the, either the city attorney or the controller to submit a budget ordinance for it, or you could just wait.
Okay. See what the council wants to do.
By creating it, at least now we can post for it, so.
But he is an employee of the city, he has been.
Yes.
He's an employee, as far as I know.
Okay.
And this is full-time, not part-time, and it's not seasonal, it's the whole year.
Right.
Anyone else have any questions on item number 10?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
How much is this gonna cost? With benefits and everything?
I have to
don't have-
analyze it,
What
and
is it?
Oh,
I have to analyze it,
yeah.
and I can put it all together when I provide the ordinance.
And
If he's
MEO,
already an employee, all he's doing is being upgraded. That's.
well,
But then they
That's
fill his
but
old
then now,
too.
with- just like in the fire department, if somebody the laborer becomes an MEO, now you have an opening as a laborer, so now somebody can be hired as a laborer.
Yeah.
So,
So it's.
Assuming-
here, this is-
assuming that happened, the cost would be whatever the fringes and benefits are for an MEO. I'm guessing $60,000 to $70,000.
What, is the equipment still broken or what? It says here, this additional mechanic will help complete repairs.
So from what I understand, during the snowstorm,
Oh.
4 vehicles broke.
Yeah.
This individual repaired them
Nice.
and got them back in action relatively quickly. But yeah, that's what,
I believe he was a mechanic for NFTA for quite a while, that's where his experience came.
right. I understand he's got some kind of prior
Right.
experience, but yes.
And I guess he was able to cannibalize other machinery that was not usable and use those parts to make the broken down items functional again.
I mean, there should have been more backup with this too, I think. I mean, it's just a vague letter here requesting a.
So what we'll do in the future, when there's new positions being created, Linda, you and I will make sure we attach a copy of the job description and the current salary and fringes associated with the position.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on item number 10? Moving on to number 11, Mr. Sanders submits a letter received from Modern Disposal informing the city of a rate increase to utilize their facility effective December 1st. The new rate is $65 per ton of household waste. What is the amount of the increase, Linda, do you know?
I had it on my desk, but I've been so busy that I forgot.
Approximately?
Probably $10.
It was a couple thousand a month, I believe.
This is 65 per ton. What was it before, do you know, per ton?
I don't remember, but it equated to a couple thousand a month.
All right, anyone have any questions on item 11? Moving on to item number 12, from Duane Jones, Global Concepts Charter School, requesting commissioner D's for the several individuals listed. Anyone have any comments on that? If not, then it's approximately 11 or 12 minutes after 7. I will call the regular meeting for the Lackawanna City Council dated December 5th, 2022 to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Mr. City Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Absolutely. Council, Muflahi,
Present.
Anderson. Here. Moretti. Here. Sirdike. Present. Morano. Here. Department heads, Law.
Here.
Development.
Here.
Public Works has been excused. Public Safety. Here. Controller.
Here.
Recreation.
Here.
Public Information.
Here.
Hearings from citizens, Bishichi, anything?
Mr. Echeverria, did you sign over here? Mr. Echeverria, did you sign the sheet?
Nobody?
Glenn, did you
Glenn.
sign the sheet over here?
Did you want to speak today? Then you have to.
You gotta sign.
Am I ready to address you? Anyways, I won't take up much of your time.
It's okay.
All right. I'm here on behalf of the Lackawanna High School.
Before you start, we need for the record, we need to announce you for the record.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Glenn Echeverria from the city of Lackawanna, you have requested several minutes to address the city council. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Fred. I'm here on behalf of the Lackawanna High School Alumni Association. I know many of you here. I guess we're all getting a little bit older. But what our goal is to do is to honor the Lackawanna High School football team and cheerleaders at a banquet. And because they almost made it to the state championship in Syracuse. They had a tremendous season. It only happens every 15, 20 years. This isn't normal, okay? I've spent my whole life coaching football. Matter of fact, I coached Brian over here back in the day. He was a little boy. But we want the whole city, the whole school, the whole community to acknowledge these kids on their accomplishments. Not only the boys, the girls, and all the coaches and everybody involved. So we just started this about a week ago, and what we're trying to do, we're gonna have a banquet at Lucarelli's. It's gonna hold 450 people. It's not gonna be that much to the public, maybe 200, 250, because 200 people with the parents and the players and the cheerleaders. We're fundraising money to buy them all jackets and trophies. The mayor has already donated $1,000 towards the trophies, okay? I'm putting this out there because I want the community's help. I'm having a meeting with the school board and the superintendent there, and we just want, and what our group is doing, this is a new group. This is gonna be for the future of Lackawanna, and it's not just gonna be football, even though I'm a football nut, okay? It's gonna be for all the kids, all the sports, boys, girls, everybody. Our goal is to give scholarships out and to make this something for the whole city of Lackawanna. So I'm here to get everybody's help, because I just can't do it myself. I'm almost as old as Freddie, okay? So.
I thought you were older.
Yeah. And so we're planning, I ran something like this back in 1993, where I had 500 people at the Glad Post, and we had to sell raffle tickets to raise the money to get jackets, trophies, and it was a colossal success, okay? And the kids will never, ever forget it as long as they live. Dean, there's a lot of things I can say about you that you'll never forget. You won't go there, okay? But I thank you for the time. I know I only got 3 minutes. We are gonna come out with more information, okay? Now, what I do wanna say is it only holds 450 people. By the time I've got tickets for the athletes and the cheerleaders and then their parents, I'm probably gonna have maybe 250 tickets left for the public. So, of course, I want the city represented, I want the school represented, and then whatever I have left, then people from within the city can buy tickets. It's not a venue where we could have 5,000 people come in, okay? But this is very dear to my heart. I love the kids in the city, been with them all my life, and hopefully we can get it done. And I even called Ron Jaworski, so we're hoping he's gonna help us out a little bit too.
But as far as your request for the city, you're asking us as individuals.
As
because the city-
individuals, I know the
can't.
city can't go into transferring this money and doing that. I just want you to reach into your hearts and let's help the kids, because it's not, this is a beginning. This is a good opportunity for us to start something like this. And then it goes on for all the children of Lackawanna, not just the football team. Let me make that clear. It's for all the boys and girls, all the different sport groups, whatever. And we plan on giving out a scholarship this year to a boy and a girl in the high school. So that's about all I have to say. Freddie, you can pass along my information. Like I said, we'll be coming out with more information. We can't blast it up in the paper because a lot of people might want to come to the banquet and they won't be able to.
And what's the date of the proposed banquet?
January 28th is the date at Lucarelli's. I believe we're going to start at about 6 o'clock. But any other information I'll come forward with, because I have a meeting with our committee tomorrow. So I hope you can all help us out. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, there's no one else on the list from hearings from citizens. Next item.
Right, we need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 21st, 2022.
Random moves to adopt minutes of regular meeting November 21st, 2022 is written.
Anderson second.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of November 21, 2022 is written. Muflahi?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirlik?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Departmental reports 1 through 5.
Random moves to receive and file departmental reports 1 through 5 inclusive.
Muflahi.
Who's down there?
That's right.
So the motion by Morano, second by Sirlik to receive and file departmental reports 1 through 5. Muflahi?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirlik?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Communications from the mayor, number 6. Mayor, I file a request the city council renew for herself and Gail Nicholson, who's the secretary for the mayor, commissioner of deed status for the city of Lackawanna, terms to expire December 31st, 2024.
Random moves to approve request.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to approve request. Muflahi?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirlik?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Item number 7, are we going to waive the rules and introduce the new, or are we just going to table the whole?
I would move to just table.
Okay, so the motion by Council President to table the item.
Maflahe second.
So I have a motion by Morano, second by Maflahe, to table the item pending additional information.
Yes.
Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. The ordinance will not be acted upon. Moving on. Communication from Division Department Heads number 8. City Attorney requests the City Council approve Denise M. Fitzgibbons as Commissioner of Deeds for the City of Lackawanna, term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Morano moves to approve request.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to approve request. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 9, Director of Development requests the City Council approve the adoption, use, and enforcement of the New York State 2020 Uniform Codes.
Morano moves to approve request.
Anderson second.
Motion by Morano, second by Anderson to approve request. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Just one question on that to the Director of Development. Is this clerk's office required to send any information to anybody in the state acknowledging that we've adopted this, or is it?
Not to my knowledge, no, we need it on paper,
Okay, very good, thank you.
so to speak.
Item number 10, DPW Commissioner requests the City Council approve the addition of 1 new mechanics position in the Department of Public Works.
Morano moves to approve request and directs city law department to prepare an ordinance.
Anderson second.
A motion by Morano, second by Anderson to approve the request, direct the law department to prepare an ordinance. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Item number 11, City DPW Commissioner submits a letter received from Modern Disposal informing the city of a rate increase to utilize the NEI facility. Effective December 1st, 2022, the new rate will be $65 a ton bulk or household waste.
Morano moves to receive and file.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to receive and file. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Communications from citizens, number 12, Dwan D. Jones Global Concepts Charter School requests the City Council approve the reappointment of the following individual as Commissioner of Deeds in the City of Lackawanna, terms to expire December 31st, 2024. There's 5 members that are administrative team of Global Concepts.
Morano moves to approve request.
Maflahe seconds.
Motion by Morano, second by Maflahe to approve request. Maflahe?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Sirdike?
Yes.
Morano?
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Mr. Council President.
I'm opening this up to the city council members for any tabled items. Anyone wish to bring anything forward?
Council President, yes.
Yes.
City Attorney, what I'm looking at is any movement on this Edison and Abbott Road.
Yep, we heard from the neighbors, so that'll be on the next council agenda. Okay. To approve the parcels in the past, and the other front parcel, we're still, we're deciding whether we're gonna file it for an RFP or, there's other people interested in the property, so. We wanna get the highest and best price for it.
But you already, Mr. Sparrow, I believe you already gave him an amount.
Yep.
Yep. And he's agreed to just about everything that's going on.
Except the price, so we felt maybe.
Well, it was 33,000. It was what, 10,000 per acre? Or, yeah,
He offered 33,000, no one agreed to that.
Assessed. It was assessed at too, right?
Yeah, so what I did was I took the assessed value of 33,000, we had $4,500 in survey costs. So that's 37,500. We then allocated a purchase price to the individuals that are buying the small pieces behind their houses.
how many individuals?
Say 5, not exact.
People that live on Edison.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Sparrow was willing to give up 50 feet to all of those people, that I remember correctly from the last meeting.
And then what happened was, so those people, we then came up with a price. I sent them letters. They've all exercised a willingness to purchase at that, so that'll come in front of the council. The piece that's left over is 2.13 acres. So we offered that to Mr. Sparrow at, I want to say $28,500 because the total we're gonna net from the total sales would be 37.5, which is the cost, which is the value of the property plus the cost of the survey.
Yep, 2.13.
Yep.
And so what does that come down to per thousand? We have it broken down?
No,
So per acre, so the residents, are they gonna be paying the same price
no,
for the lands that they wanted?
nope, nope. So then we shifted a little bit more to the front parcel because it's developable. The piece behind the residence,
Yeah,
it's really,
very narrow.
yeah, it's kind of narrow and it's really not developable. So that's why that was explained to him, okay? But in all honesty, in the past, we had a couple of other individuals who were interested in the property. And I have to look at to see how the city initially acquired the property. And we're gonna possibly seek some other bids. Developable property in the city of Lackawanna is worth anywhere between 15 and 30,000 an acre. So, I mean, they're in a ballpark, but
So these, I'm a little confused. These other people that were interested in this property in the past, never heard of anything about this. What were they looking to develop? Do we have that information?
yeah,
Who
there's
was involved in
yep.
it? Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else? Any other council members? Any table items or old business? If not, then Morano moves to adjourn.
Ready, second.
Motion by Morano, second by Ready, to adjourn the meeting. Clock.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Survey.
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you.